Alright, so when I was a wee lass, when I was a wee teenage lass, we randomly started getting this magazine in the mail, and it was called Entertainment Weekly. My little Wisconsinite ass thought this magazine was really cool, and I used to wait for it to come in the mail, and then when it came in the mail I would read it from front to back. You know, I was like so into it. But I continued to try to read it when I got a little bit older, even when I was like 20, 21. But by that point I was like, you know, this is fine. I see why this exists. You know, this serves a purpose to some people. That's chill. But I really started noticing that it was the same exact shit over and over again, just in slightly different form, and it kind of didn't really mean that much. And, you know, if people are into it, I don't even think that magazine still exists. I don't know why we were subscribing to it. I'm sure we got it with some kind of, I don't know, maybe whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, like, I thought it was cool until I realized that it was, in fact, just kind of banter, and also, like, websites now exist for that kind of thing. But, like, the reason I thought it was cool was because, like, it was new to me. Like, I hadn't read anything like that at that point in time, so that's why it was cool. And then once I had read it multiple times, I was finally like, oh, this is just kind of, they're kind of just going through the motions and doing the same thing. Like, they would always ask actors, they'd be like, how did you feel when you got the call that you would be in this cool project that's now successful? And the person would just be like, yeah, I was really excited, because why the fuck wouldn't they be? What a stupid question. You get a call that you got the job you really wanted and you applied for and you worked hard to get, and you're excited to get it? No way. Like, wow, amazing. Anyway, it was just shit like that over and over and over again, and then I was like done with it. Haven't read that shit in many years. I bet they still have a website or some shit. I feel like they're still on television to some extent. It doesn't matter. I started feeling the same exact way when it came to, like, celebrity interviews that I would watch, and really what those are is just like, it's the interviewer, if you could call them that, and the person being interviewed just going through the motions. They're going through the motions. They're showing up. They're saying, hi, here I am. Yes, blah, blah, blah. And the interviewer says, blah, 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 blah. End scene, great work, goodbye. If you watch some actual interviews with actors from, like, the 70s, they kind of give more genuine responses, but for that matter, the people interviewing them ask more thoughtful questions, ask more interesting, thoughtful questions. Beside the point. I'm fucking sick of this shit criticizing Blake Lively. I don't want to see it anymore, and anyone who does it is stupid. Just about. I'm shocked. I really am. I'm not shocked. I'm jaded with this bullshit. So I was telling my friend about it because she doesn't follow this kind of bull, which I should probably follow her lead, but I was just telling her, like, yeah, people are mad about these dumbass interviews she did for entertainment things, and, like, they're taking it out of context and they're blowing it out of proportion. Like, the one that people are mad about is this fucking interview that that was unearthed from like 2015, and now they're like clutching pearls. Oh, she said this, she said that. Boo-hoo. Anyway, I was telling my friend about it. We were just kind of talking about that, the whole like interviewer phenomenon. And this isn't true just of actors who get interviewed, okay? This is true of most people who get interviewed. It is very rare that you find an interviewer who's, one, actually capable of what he or she is doing, and two, actually asks questions and like puts the person they're interviewing in a corner. That's a good interviewer, okay? Most people who are interviewers are not that good at it. Anyway, I was saying, like, if AI was better at this point in time, like if, like right now, with AI, you can tell that it's AI. Like for the most part, when it comes to like images, right? Generated images of an actual human being on camera and talking, I can tell it's AI. But I'm saying, like, if it was just slightly better and you couldn't actually tell, and you had an interview and you had an AI thing, like if you put in Hollywood Today interviews actor so and so about their movie this, which is an in fact existing movie, and the AI generator like created such an interview, I don't think people could tell the difference. Like I really don't. I mean, it's just, well, the only thing that's like very obviously not AI is like the facial expressions are in fact slightly off, where like it's not that advanced yet that you absolutely cannot tell. I don't know, I guess I'm just good at telling, but that's my point is that this is just useless banter almost all of the time, and it has been for a very, very, very long time. Like if you go to the cinema, which I do obviously, and you look at these people, like, sometimes I pray that I never see Maria Menounos again, because I've been seeing that woman for fucking long enough. Don't you have a child to attend to? Anyway, I'm tired of her. I'm tired of looking at her. But, like, the stupid-ass interviews she does are pointless and dumb, and they're just, frankly, banter. Like, they mean nothing. There's no genuine interaction there between her and the person she's interviewing. Like, think about this. I mean, okay, I'm sure this has happened to multiple people. Think about how you go to a party, maybe with a lot of people you don't know. You meet people, and you meet certain people, and it's just kind of a one-off thing. You say, oh, hey, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. You shoot the shit with that person for a little bit, right? And then you may, in fact, actually forget having met that person because your interaction with them was, in fact, so insignificant. And then maybe that person recognizes you, like, at a different spot at a different time, and they're like, oh, hey, so-and-so. And you're like, sorry, who are you? Anyway, think about that, right? That does happen at parties and gatherings, okay? But you know what else happens at parties and gatherings is sometimes you actually have a real, true interaction with someone that you really care about. Maybe you have a real, true, like, heartfelt conversation with someone, right? That happens too. And you remember that heartfelt conversation. You're like, oh yeah, that was cool. I remember that time I talked to so-and-so. We talked for like 2 hours about blah, 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 and it was cool. And you remember it. It's actually hard to get really genuine interactions out of people with with a camera present and crew present. Like, they're very obviously just trying to get the little banter out of you, and then they've gotten the banter out of you, and then they move on. It's a very fucking surface relationship, surface interaction. It's a shooting the shit at a party level conversation. It's not a real fucking conversation. Anyway, people are like all mad because I think that woman that the interview was unearthed with, I think she was Norwegian. Anyway, she was like with some, entertainment channel interview, right? And, oops, my towel is wet. That's okay. She was like, the very first thing she said in that interview was like congratulating Blake Lively on being pregnant. And she's barely pregnant. Like, you can barely tell in the video. I think she did, in fact, announce it at that point. But I know for a fact it's more than likely that the woman who interviewed her, like, had to look up whether or not Blake was pregnant, confirmed that Blake was pregnant, and Blake was there to be interviewed about the movie she made, and the first fucking thing that this woman says to her is, congratulations on your bump, on her being pregnant. I would be fucking pissed if someone did that to me. I would be angry. I would be like, and you can't really tell in the shot because she's sitting down and she's kind of leaning back, so it's not really obvious that she's pregnant, but I guess it was obvious that she was pregnant, but it's like kind of stupid to congratulate someone on being pregnant when it's obvious that they're pregnant, unless you're talking to them about it in a genuine way. And like, she was there to talk about her movie, not her pregnancy, and the fact that a lot of people like let pregnancy or a kid even, like, they put priority over that over everything else is very obnoxious and sexist, frankly. Like, I don't remember what I was watching many, many years ago, but it was some fucking show with Sharon Osbourne, Clue, and they had this woman on. I don't remember her name, I guess because she wasn't that memorable, but I feel like she might have been Channing Tatum's girlfriend at some point, or she was in a movie with Channing Tatum. I don't remember. Anyway, they were like, she's done this, she's done this, she's done this. Like, she had, in fact, done cool work. She was clearly a very accomplished person, and they were also like, and she has a 4-year-old, so here, come on out. And then she came on out and she sat down, and the first fucking thing Sharon Osbourne said to her after having listed all of her accomplishments was like, so, your 4-year-old, we have to hear about him. And it's like, I get it that women want to talk about that, and I get it that maybe she also did, in fact, want to talk about her kid. I'm sure she was okay with talking about her kid, but like, they also listed all of her accomplishments and things she had done. And instead of saying like, wow, it's like this, you've been hard working, you've been hard at work lately, like, good for you. Like, instead of saying that, she was like, your kid. I'm gonna go here, and some of y'all are gonna be mad about it, but I don't fucking care. Is having a kid really that extreme? It's very natural. Most women do, in fact, have kids, right? Like, why do we need to make it this, like, big-ass, humongous, like, main subject, main focus of the interview? So, I understand why Blake Lively was angry about that, because I would have been too. I would have been like, yeah, thanks, can we talk about my movie? Like, this interviewer probably started the interview off on the worst foot she possibly could have by saying that, and like, yeah, that's just gonna happen, unfortunately, and yeah, maybe Blake Lively wasn't super forgiving about it, but like, if y'all watch those interviews, like, I would hate it so much having to do those on a regular basis. And they have to do those on a regular basis. That would suck. That would fucking suck, bro. I would do it, because that's what would be expected of me in that role, but I wouldn't be happy about it. Anyway, and then people are like, oh, Blake is such a mean girl. Oh, she's a mean girl. Oh, she does mean things. I'm like, first of all, do you think that industry is kind? Does that industry have a reputation for being kind? Yes or no? was I gonna say about her? Also, like, oh, and people are now like angry about her, how she's behaving, about It Ends With Us. Side note, I didn't know about It Ends With Us. Apparently it's some kind of popular book. Apparently it was a popular book. I didn't hear about it. I didn't even know about this story until I saw the trailer. Side note is that's not the type of fucking book I want to read, and that's not the type of fucking movie I want to watch. I feel like it's, for lack of a better term, it's beating a dead horse. I feel like our society really enables a lot of women to remain in abusive relationships. I feel like our society is often built upon abusive relationships. Case in point, like, look at the Democrat and Republican parties. Both of those treat women as a class of people like an abuser treats his abused partner. Okay? Fight me about it. For real. They're always like fucking Democrats. Like, listen, you guys, I was in Vegas where a lot more people speak Spanish. Spanish is a lot more spoken than it is here in Oregon. And I heard an ad campaign on the radio, and my Spanish is okay. I understand more than I speak, but I definitely don't understand everything. But I heard this one ad that was for Biden, and it was like, oh, like, women won't have rights to their own bodies, like, oh, women won't have an access to abortion if you don't vote for Biden, like, you know, just famously dangling the carrot that they fucking dangle all the time. I knew exactly what they were saying, word for word, because I'm so used to that bullshit in English. It was the exact same wording, but just in Spanish, so I knew what was being said. Anyway, I'm not interested in this movie that Blake Lively was in. I'm not interested in this story by, what the fuck is her name? Colleen Howard or something. I'm not interested in it. And people are all mad because they're like, Blake's not, she's not being sensitive enough about the subject matter. She's saying go watch the movie instead of saying that domestic violence is serious. If she behaved differently, people would still be mad. People would still have some kind of problem with her. Okay? I feel like women are criticized so much more harshly than men are. Like, yeah, men are criticized harshly, occasionally, for sure, but women are like, there aren't like 20 kajillion videos about how Ryan Reynolds said this thing wrong and now people are mad, or like he didn't come off that well in the interview and now people are mad and that was mean, and here's this video he did, this interview he did from 2015, and so y'all are like, oh, she's a mean girl, but you're gonna make a 25-minute video about how she's a mean girl and you don't think you're a mean girl for having done that? I like her. I like her and Ryan Reynolds. Okay? Obviously, I don't know them personally. We haven't met. We don't hang out. But, I appreciate Ryan Reynolds for having made Deadpool. And by the way, Blake, it wouldn't be where she is if her husband was not Ryan Reynolds. For real. Like, actually. Like, people forget that. Like, the reason why she's as high ranking as she is because of her husband. It's a lot having to do with her husband. She's also talented, okay? She's also intelligent, okay? Do you guys see this? Do you guys see this shit? Back in the day, when I was getting all kind of criticism on YouTube for being mean, I had a fake tattoo of a scorpion, and I put it right here, and I was like, oh, I actually really like that. But then I was also thinking about how people say that I'm mean, and I was like, Cool. I'm glad people say I'm mean. I would rather be mean than be anything else, especially if the internet tells me that's what I am. I'm mad about it. I was gonna say something else. Now I might have forgotten what it was. It's about Blake Lively, her husband. Yeah, I don't really appreciate the subject matter of that movie of It Ends With Us. And I also really don't appreciate all these dumbass fucking women enabling abusers. All they do is like commiserate about how they were abused, or commiserate about how the fact that women are abused, and they don't offer anything beyond that. They don't offer any solution beyond that. I don't remember what it was, but months ago I was watching some video about a woman who had been in an abusive relationship. And like, people are like, oh, women are more likely to be killed if she leaves an abusive relationship. Like, oh, it's so hard for women to leave an abusive relationship. Like, that was all the comments were that women are more likely to be killed if they leave an abusive relationship, and women are more likely to be, it's hard for women to leave abusive relationships. So what the fuck should she do? Stay in an abusive relationship because it's easier? I'm so sick of this shit from all these fucking idiots saying stupid things about things they also don't fucking understand. Okay, I've remembered what I was gonna say. This is just an example of something that dumbass interviewers do, but I'm sure there have been worse ones. This was when Russell Brand was still married to Katy Perry. He's been pretty open about his struggles with alcohol and drugs, whatever, just his life in general, okay? So I saw him in the video on a red carpet with Katy Perry. Go approach an interviewer, right? A red carpet interviewer. And the first fucking thing this dumbass said to him was, Russell, hey, you look like you need a drink. And he was like, actually, I'm a recovering alcoholic. And like, I knew that. People who know of him kind of know that about him. So the fact that this fucking moron, first thing she said was, you look like you need a drink. Like, that's the kind of bullshit these people are dealing with. Let me tell you something else. This is really bad. This kind of shit happens all the time, though. Not this kind of shit, but obviously this kind of carelessness happens frequently. So, Hugh Grant is actually in one of my favorite movies, which is called About a Boy. Was in this movie with Mara Wilson, who was a young pup at the time, under 10 at the time. I think the movie was called 9 Months. I haven't seen it. But so Hugh Grant was in this movie with a child actress. And I think after the movie wrapped, Hugh Grant actually got in some hot water because I'm pretty sure he did in fact pick up a prostitute. And it was found out. It was this thing. Do you know what an interviewer fucking said to Mara Wilson? Just child. Some interviewer was like, so, what do you think about your co-star having been caught with a prostitute, little girl? Unacceptable. Totally unacceptable and not okay. Anyway, people are all mad about Blake Lively being a mean girl and not being interviewed properly. I'm like, and in the same breath, they'll like criticize Hollywood. In the same breath, they'll say, oh yeah, it's such an exploitative industry. But you're mad at her? Like, it's not making any sense at all. Blake, if you want to work together, hit me up. I'm free, baby.